Coming up next, I'm going to tell you about 5 under-the-radar niche fragrance houses that I think you need to explore. I'm going to give you an example from each one that I really enjoy. So 1 fragrance from 5 different under-the-radar niche houses coming up next. Welcome back everybody to Joel the Nose here at Osme Perfumery in Miami. And today's video is a video on what I consider some of the more under the radar niche houses that are superb, wonderful fragrance houses that a lot of people know about, but a lot don't necessarily know about it because, you know, certain things get hyped up in the community. Obviously, there's a lot of brands that everyone talks about all the time and knows about, whether it be Roja Dove, Serjoff, you know, of course, what else we got here? Parfums de Marly. There's just, you know, there's ones that just really kind of are always at the top of everyone's list. But these are 5 that really you need to look at a little bit further. I'm going to give you an example of a fragrance from each one. First, this is the House of Widian. So I've talked about some of these perfumes recently. This is the newest from Widian, and this is Vanya. And I hope I'm saying that right because this is a fragrance that I just got my nose on recently. Let's see if we can get it focused on there. And it is a wonderful, Vanya is basically a seaport city that this is fragrance is based on. And it's got a really interesting, when you look at the note breakdown, it's got a really top fresh bergamot note that kind of brings you in and kind of eases you in, but then there's wonderful cedar, oud combination, sandalwood that gives it a more complex dry down than when you initially smell it. So this is one of these beautifully elegant, but yet still complex fragrances that I think is done extremely well by a house like Widian. They've got a lot of offerings here. Osme carries probably, I'd say, roughly around 20 different fragrances by them. So if you want to try a house that is not going to be your typical you know, niche perfume house, this is going to be one where they take a lot of chances. They have a lot of great fragrances. Check out Widian and Vanya, one of the newest ones. So next, I'm going to come to a house that I've been talking about in the last few days recently. You guys have seen me mention one of these called God on Fire, which is the hottest, kind of trendiest fragrance out there right now in the niche world. But this is another one, and this is Sandance. The reason why of course, let me mention the house name. The house is Stefan Humbert Lucas. Stefan Humbert Lucas. And this is Sandance, as I said. Cool bottle, right? You can see from this whole Serpent series that he has coming out now, which is kind of a modern, or not modern, it's a derivation of the original Mortal Skin, which came out like 5-6 years ago. This new Serpent series, the bottles are all have this kind of serpent design and they're different colors. Sandance is a wonderful gourmand fragrance. It's extremely creamy. It's got cocoa, it's got mandarin, it's got coriander, it's got cedar, patchouli, some really interesting stuff. But there's the mix of like a whiskey cream note that they talk about in here that just, ooh, is so sexy on the skin. This is going to be a wonderful, I think, intimate fragrance for men or women to wear when you want to go on a date or you want to get close to your loved one. This is going to be one of those kind of very gourmand, sweet, whiskey, chocolatey fragrances. So again, Stefan Humbert Lucas, great house you got to check out. Next, let's go to my third selection here. And this is a house that I talked about recently because I love the value here. This is a fragrance house, Carthizia, which is from Italy, which has actually been around for a really long time. So they have a long history, I think over 100 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's over 100 years that they have been around, maybe even longer. So this is classic Italian fragrance, classic Italian niche house. A lot of what they do gives you that kind of Mediterranean feel, that kind of coastal feel, that citrusy feel, that light, that fresh feel. what I like about this one is that combines all that, but it has a beautiful, beautiful element. I think here, what really sets this one apart is the jasmine. This is an extremely wonderful jasmine fragrance that's mixed with ginger and tangerine and pepper and bergamot and lemon. So it's got a lot of the classic kind of Mediterranean, Italian, citrus elements, but mixed in with a wonderful jasmine note. This jasmine note, by the way, look at that sprayer. I'd forgotten how good the sprayers are. That's really good sprayer. So another thing, for the price on this, the price on the Carthizias, you remember?
150.
150, and this is 100 ml. So 100 ml right here, and they have a 50 milliliter option too, so you can get into a great niche house for an extremely reasonable price, under $150, or right out there for 100 milliliters, and you go to the 50 milliliter, that's 100 bucks. So try it out. I mean, I own a couple of these bottles, and Carthizia is just a house that I think needs more love from all you guys out there. Okay, another house that I've done some videos recently. Actually, I just talked about my kind of new fragrance that I'm actually personally wearing in my collection, which is Scorpio Rising, but I'm going to introduce you to a different one today, which is another one I really enjoy. This is MX. MX from the house of Aerie Parfums. MX is a fragrance that, even though I don't know if it lists incense as one of the notes, it kind of gives me an incense feel, similar to Scorpio Rising, which clearly has incense in this. This has a feel, a similar vibe, and they have a new MXX, which is an X-straight version of this. But if you want to kind of get in for a little bit cheaper price, in the $175 range, somewhere in that range, you can get a wonderful fragrance from Aerie Parfums, which is a newer niche house. This is one of the newer ones on the block. Anton Lee is the perfumer. He does, I think, almost all the perfumes for the house. Barbara Herman, I believe, is the creative director and founder, and she has created a lot of these fragrances that are very evocative, very sensual. They kind of play on words and images a little bit, so I like that artistic creativity that she's put into this house. This fragrance, again, has actually cacao in it, has cedar, has sandalwood, black pepper, it's got some ginger. That's right, it does have olibanum. I forgot, that's why I'm getting that incense vibe, because olibanum and incense essentially are the same thing. So if you like that type of smell, which I know a lot of you will, MX is one you gotta check out, and the whole house of Aerie Parfums. Lastly, we're going to come here. We're going to come to another Italian house. Got a lot of Italian houses here. This is Otro Parisi. Otro Parisi, and this is one of my favorite green fragrances. This is, I always pronounce it wrong, but Veride. Veride. So take a look at that green juice right there. Is that just not beautiful or what? And I want to make sure that yes, okay. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that in Latin that means green. This is as green of a fragrance as you're going to get. Just look at the juice. Obviously, when you look at the juice there, it's extremely green. It's fresh, it's light, it's effervescent. It's one of these fragrances, but it's still got this kind of musky sexiness in it that has this old school, almost 80s vibe to it. So it reminds me a little bit, for those of you who like Elite from Floris London. So if you like Floris London's Elite, which also has a green juice, this is kind of in that vibe. It's picking up that smell, that 80s masculine green, puts hair in your chest type fragrance. So it's actually very, when you initially smell it and you look at it, you think it's a little bit light. It's actually very intense, very strong, very masculine, Veride. So there you go. Again, that's Otro Parisi. 5 niche houses, including 5 perfumes that I recommend getting your nose on. These are under the radar houses. For the most part, they do very well in their own right, but I think that they could use more love, meaning that a lot of people, if they check them out rather than just sticking with all the main niche houses, you may actually find some really, really good stuff to get your nose on that would become permanent and prominent parts of your collections. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. What can I say? Appreciate all your guys' support. Love you guys. Peace, love, and perfume.